Hello world, this is King of Hearts again, come from Castle Hartford Hospital, if you will. I know it's been a little while since my last video. Like I said, I have some bad days, and part of that is doctors, trying around some new medicines, and that actually leads into today's video, which is about compromises and I guess hospital sort of compromises, stuff you give up or trade for good health care. And but first, before I get into all that, I really want to send a big thank you out to California to my sister's boss. He not only is he taking care of my sister out there, I know she loves her job and she's having a good time with everything, so I mean that's enough, but also sent me a awesome birthday present there, and I can't wait to play it, but I do need to wait for a TV capable of hooking the PlayStation into. Currently this dinosaur behind me, 8-inch screen, has no inputs, is not quite capable of handling that. So I'll get there. Just want to let you know I greatly appreciate what you're doing on both fronts, and I guess keep it up. And if Lauren gives you any trouble, just let me know and I'll set her straight. Anyways, I also have another thank you to send out, a little closer to home. A friend of mine from the gym I attended for quite a few years, unfortunately had a stroke, and having a little trouble, but she was kind enough and able to send me a get well soon card, so it's great. It's greatly appreciated. I wish you the same, and hopefully we'll be able to get strong together, recovery, and start over. But again, today's talk is about compromises, and there's the obvious loss of freedom, I guess. Can't just get up and go, if I want to go see a movie, or go to a certain restaurant, or if I want to have a drink, everything's kind of limited. Can't really live the way you necessarily want to live, so that's the obvious sort of thing. Some things that may be obvious, especially if you have spent time in the hospital, is that at certain times there's I guess things you have to give up for better health care. Doesn't sound logical, but I guess last year, the first time I was here, I had a CAT scan, and the CT, the contrast fluid, actually turns out I'm allergic to it, so my body turned into a full-on rash, which was horrible. And as it turns out, they had another test in mind, the PET scan, which would scan my body for inflammation, and that would give them a better idea where the virus was attacking. So the logical medicine for the rash I was having was steroids. But for a couple reasons, mostly because they didn't want to diminish the inflammation in the PET scan, because that would make it difficult to read, but also because of the virus itself. They didn't want to give me steroids, so they couldn't treat the rash, and I had a full body rash for about a week. It was probably the worst experience I've had so far in a hospital, and all for the sake of a a test that, you know, in this particular case didn't really reveal anything overly helpful. That's just how it goes. Maybe the next test will be better, and the next test is actually another CT scan, so they have to give me the contrast fluid again. They assure me there's a medicine that they can give me before the IV that'll keep the rash from happening. But, you know, it's still frightening. And another issue is that the naproxen I'm on, which keeps fevers at bay, is bad for my kidneys. And also the CT contrast fluid is bad for my kidneys. So if I were to mix them together, I'd be risking kidney failure, which I really don't want to deal with. So they have to stop the naproxen for a few days, which means I'll be having fevers of around 102, 103, a couple times a day. I will have zero energy. I will feel like crap. And but that's what needs to happen, and hopefully they find out what they need to find out, and we can move on from there, get the naproxen back, and start feeling better again, and, you know, stuff like that. It's just compromises. In my case, it's complicated because of the Epstein-Barr, but, you know, I'm sure it happens for everyone. Not to mention the fact that before a CAT scan, you can't eat or drink anything for 12 hours, which, when you're already, you know, being diuresed and not allowed to drink all that much, 12 hours is a tough span to make, but, you know, it's what you gotta do. The third one's a little more on the gross side. It's kind of the stuff that maybe you don't think of, but it's extremely prevalent once you get here. The first time I came, I didn't have as much strength as I do now. Strangely, I had stronger muscles, but my heart wasn't working, so I was weaker. But anyways, the nurses had to help out with a lot of things, and I wasn't able to get to the toilet like many of the people in the ICU here. And, I mean, the nurses are very used to it, but obviously it's, you know, it's kind of, I guess, embarrassing for a patient the first time. But, you know, you gotta poop into the little bucket, and you gotta pee into a urinal that they measure your fluid output, because for cardiac patients that's very, very important. And then, I mean, they have to clean you with antibacterial wipes so that, you know, all these holes that you'll be getting in your body don't get infected. So, I mean, privacy becomes an unknown thing. You know, you got glass doors, glass walls, essentially. You know, they're always keeping an eye on you. So, you know, if you're the kind of person who beforehand was like, you know, maybe I'll go home and shower rather than do so at the gym, you know, at this point, you know, you're like, whatever, I'll take a shower with some dudes in the room. It's just one of those things, you know. Frankly, I would give anything to take any kind of shower at this point. It's been so long. Tired of sponge bathing. Tired of that. But, so one day, that's another thing you give up. Freaking showers, man. Like, I love me some showers. But another one kind of is like normal conversation. I mean, it's not so bad. But I mean, every conversation starts with, how are you feeling? You know, anything changed? And then they, like family and friends want to talk about that for a little while until they notice that you're, kind of tired of talking about it. So then they're like, oh, that's enough about that. Let's have another conversation. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to talk about the medicine. Like, you're obviously curious, and I'm here to do that. That's the platform I'm using is YouTube to talk to other people about the medicine. But, just having a normal conversation, like, how's the weather, or whatever small talk is kind of out the window. So, but in contrast to that, the nurses are kind of awesome. They're like your best friends. They'll come in and, they'll have a normal conversation because they started with the medicine. Now they want to know you. So, you're talking to your family. They know all about you. They want to know about the medicine. So, it's like the nurses are great to talk to, and they're always there being your advocate, protecting you from, tests like the PET scan last year that had me in agony for a week. They were fighting that because they are patient advocates, and they don't like to see me in pain. So I appreciate that, and the nurses here are wonderful. They're all great. So I don't know. I guess that's a positive side. But in conclusion,
Okay.
yeah. Speaking of nurses, Stephanie's here. She's
You're in the middle of your show?
towards the end. I was actually going to do the conclusion right now.
Alright.
I was, I guess, going for the positives
Okay.
that hospitals, I guess, ultimately bring. Which is, dancing. Thank you for that. But no, just that I guess, they say builds character or whatever, and I guess that's true. You get stronger if you face it the right way. Get stronger mentally, and if the doctors do their job right, you get stronger physically. So, you compromise for a reason, and pays you back. So that's a plus. And hopefully they save your life. So, I guess that's it for today. Please comment, share your thoughts, share the video with anyone, the usual things I say at this point. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you get the next one, which I'm not sure when that will be. I'm expecting some big news, as you know, in the next 2 days. If it doesn't come by Friday, I will be very sad. Maybe I'll make a very sad video. I'll try not to do that. But anyways, until then, goodbye world. It's been a pleasure.